Everyone, welcome to the One Stop Wrestling YouTube channel once again. As always, I am Craig Smith. I'm always joined by Alfonso. And tonight we have a very special guest once again. And let me introduce her to you. It's the one and the only basic bitch Slayer, Ruby Roberts. Ruby, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I am great. What part of Scotland are you joining us from tonight?
I'm really sorry. Could you say that again?
Oh my God.
It was a signal, to be fair, that wasn't your accent.
What part of Scotland are you joining us from this evening?
I am joining you from North Ayrshire. So I am from a small town in North Ayrshire called Beath, which is like the very first town you hit coming from Glasgow.
I think I've been through there once or twice before on my way to Ayr. Obviously, quite a big wrestling part of Scotland with the likes of Drew McIntyre, WWE champion from Ayrshire now.
You've also got Dewdrop as well, who's from the next town over from me, Kilburnie.
Did you ever know Dewdrop?
Yes, we actually went to school together. She was in my physics class.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Do you know that way? We were in like totally different groups at school.
Yeah.
Like we're just totally different groups, and then found out years later that we both liked wrestling, and we were like, oh, we could have like totally like bonded over that. But
you know, like a tag team, you could be women's tag team champion in WWE.
I know. I wish I'd come to wrestling a bit earlier. Things might have been different.
But obviously, we're here to talk about your wrestling career tonight, and you're doing Scotland very proud because you're actually conquering Europe at the moment. You're the CCW Women's Champion, which is actually based in Copenhagen.
Technically, I'm not yet their Women's Champion. I am working towards it, though.
You're working towards it.
I'm undefeated in the company, though, but I am working towards it. Trust me, eyes on that prize.
You're the champion in our hearts.
Fence wrestling as well. So how has it been wrestling in Europe?
It's been really interesting and really exciting. It's so different and so similar at the same time. Because obviously each different place that you go, there's just like different rules with wrestling, or there's like different ways that people do things, or different traditions. And it's been really, really eye-opening and interesting to go to these different places and get to work with all these fantastic different people, as well as getting the honour of working with everybody back here as well. But getting to travel has been fantastic, especially after COVID. Being stuck in the house for so long, I got the chance to instantly burst out into the world, and it was just fantastic.
That's really cool to hear. What would you say was the big differences of wrestling in the independent scene in Europe to what most fans are used to watching the North American product, or the likes of WWE, AEW? What's the biggest differences for you?
So with your AEW, with your WWE, it's all very aimed towards TV. It's all very, I'm trying to think how to say this, TV motivated. So it's filmed in a specific way for that audience. Whereas it's more, in Europe, it's more like our local scene where you're right in their faces. Like the audience are right there. There's no angles, and they see everything. So it's a full 360 experience where you have to be aware of everything that's going on around about you. Not that you don't on the TV either, but it's just more of an intimate sort of, they're right there. And you've really got to play to that person who's right in front of you, rather than playing sort of out to a wider, bigger, massive audience. It's just, for me, it feels very, you can connect with people more. It gives you more of a chance to really play to like the emotions in people and really get that connection with folk.
No, that's really cool. Alfonso, do you want to ask anything?
Like, for me, the most interesting thing part of your character is your moniker, like the basic bitch slayer. Like,
yes.
For you, what is a basic bitch? And the most important question, why do you want to slay all the basic bitches in the world?
There it is. So for me, well, there's like a general explanation of a basic bitch the internet sort of came up with. And I thought what if a basic bitch represented all the things that I disagreed with? What if a basic bitch was somebody who didn't treat people correctly, was somebody who didn't put effort in, was somebody who just fobbed people off? What if a basic bitch represented all the things that I opposed, and felt that I wanted to fight against in wrestling, essentially? And I've sort of taken that and used it as motivation to work my way through as many opponents as possible. So basically, anybody can be a basic bitch. It just depends on your behaviour.
I absolutely love that. And obviously, that part of your character does come from the hit TV show from the 90s, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which
Yes,
I'm still a huge fan of.
Same.
Interesting question for you before we move on. If you had to tag team with one character from Buffy, who are you taking as your tag team partner? This is very important.
Oh. Oh, so right, this is a big question. Right, okay. So my immediate thought would be Faith, but there's issues with that because obviously it depends which Faith you're talking about. It depends if you're talking about Faith from the earlier on seasons, or if you're talking about like Faith as she grew through the seasons and then we get her in season 7 after Angel. I feel like the person that I identify with and probably could have the best actual team with would be Faith, because a huge amount of my character is actually based on her. If I wanted to be really nuts though, I think Drusilla, just because she's crazy.
Oh my god, yes. Yes, Drusilla.
Like, honestly, imagine going out with like I do like bruiser style, like battering people. She's nuts, full on fingernails the lot. I think that would be amazing.
That would be an amazing tag team.
I kind of want to see
name
it
for
now.
that tag team?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, you've put me in the spot now. I actually can't think.
The Slayers, the Beach Slayers.
Yeah, Bitch Slayers. We'll do that. Yeah, the Bitch Slayers.
I can see it working. Now, obviously, like you're doing incredibly well at the moment, but
Thank you.
it's not easy for you because you do have. I don't want to use the word disabilities, but you do have issues with. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have a condition called fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain condition. It's similar to MS, so it can affect movement, it can affect my joints, I can get my immune system can dip, it can affect energy levels, I can be sick quite a lot of the time, and it's something that at one point in my life had caused me to become physically disabled. So I used to have a walking stick, and at that point I was just about 19 stone, and that was actually why I started wrestling again, was actually to rehabilitate myself. I had sort of no notion of being able to do shows. At that point I'd sort of given up on being able to function like a normal person. I just thought that was my life, but my cousin convinced me that I should give wrestling a try again and sort of just use it as a way to get myself moving. I always used to like to think of it as violent Zumba. Some people go to Zumba and like move about. I decided to go and throw myself about. But yeah, it's something that it's a limiting factor, but I'm learning to work my way through it, and we're learning how my body works opposed to how everybody else's works, and sort of adapting that to wrestling and finding my way to do things so that I can still perform the same way that everybody else does, the same standard that everybody else does, without it sort of holding me back.
I have nothing but the utmost respect for you.
Thank you.
I can never do that. Like I struggle to walk upstairs on the evening, and I'm half dead.
Yeah.
For you to have those issues and perform at a high level, what you do, it's just amazing.
That's what I'm thinking. That's also what I'm thinking. I think you're a role model in that sense of the way. Like,
thank you.
To keep on fighting every day and find like wrestling as your therapy to keep on fighting your everyday life. I think that's amazing. And I'm thinking we're going to see one day like Ruby Yoga to help people rehabilitate themselves with wrestling also. Like,
yeah, find a way to sort of combine it. make it accessible for people, like Booty Boot Camp but wrestling.
Yeah, working on that app.
Yep, we'll get
Coming
started on
2024.
it.
I can see it happening. But obviously, you are from the United Kingdom, and the UK has always been known for one of the best wrestling scenes outside of America.
Yeah.
How do you find the UK scene now compared to before COVID?
So something that I've noticed with wrestling coming back after COVID is that there is a massive sense of community. Everyone missed it so much. So many people weren't in, like, wrestling's so social. We see each other at shows all the time. You're constantly traveling around, seeing different people, and you're always seeing these people at different events all the time. So when that all stopped, all of these social creatures suddenly couldn't interact with each other. So when we've come back, it's been a much more sort of positive and encouraging environment. Like, not that it wasn't before, but everyone's just so happy to be back wrestling that so far I've found that it's just been a really positive experience backstage. Everyone's just that chuffed to be back.
Do you think that, because obviously at the beginning of COVID, we did have the speaking out movement.
Yeah.
Do you think the UK scene is moving forward? As someone who interacts in locker rooms, how have you found your experiences now compared to a couple of years ago before the speaking out movement happened?
Yeah, it's a much more positive experience. Everybody's really taken on board what happened, and promotions are really putting things in place to make sure that everybody feels safe, and that everybody knows who they can speak to if there's an issue. Everybody knows, like, what the procedure is now if there's an issue, and everybody's encouraging each other to be safe and to look after each other. So again, it's just been a lot more positive since we've sort of moved on from that.
I saw that part of that last week. I was at a Progress Wrestling show, and I've been to a couple, but the one last week was the first time where I actually saw them say, these people here in the orange shirts, if you feel that anything has happened here, please come straight to someone with the orange shirt, and we will get this sorted. So it's good to see wrestling, not just United Wrestling in the UK, but just wrestling in general, take huge leaps now. And I'm trying to find the right phrasing here. Some people who don't deserve to be wrestling are now no longer wrestling for their actions. And that's a positive, and things can only get better from here. Yeah,
focusing on the positives and moving forward, and really just making sure that everyone feels safe going forward.
So you've done the UK, you've done Europe. Where next?
Everywhere. Like, I get asked that a lot. Where do you want to go next? Like, what countries do you want to go? Honestly, I don't really want to put a limit on it. I want to go everywhere. I don't want to be turning down opportunities if I can. Like, I want to just everywhere. If I could get to Japan, I would. If I could get to America, I will. Like, I'm just going to aim to get to as many different places and experience as many different styles of wrestling and types of wrestling as I can.
That's amazing. Have you got a list of dream opponents you want to take on?
Oh yeah, there's so many from, like, so many different places as well. So there's obviously, at some point I would have loved to have wrestled Doudrop. I would, unfortunately, obviously, with when I started wrestling again, it was never going to happen. So dream opponent, maybe one day if I ever get lucky, that would be fantastic. Basically, pretty much every single woman on every roster. I'm so bad with these answers. I basically want to wrestle everyone. Like, I want to, again, just wrestle as many different people as possible. I would love the chance to wrestle Rhea Ripley, which is just a massive, like, fan thing for me, because I feel like she is the closest living thing you are going to get to China. And I'm never going to get to wrestle China, so
Rhea is amazing. Alfonso's always been like a huge fan of Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
And I think she really plays the part like really well.
Yes.
And she's amazing in the new Judgment Day and everything. And I think Rhea Ripley is just starting, because I think she's going to grow even bigger as a star. I have a big question for you. Like right now, all the talk in Europe is NXT Europe coming next year.
Yeah.
What are you planning to do about that? Are you planning to maybe approach NXT Europe in some way or another? Or
I would love the opportunity to get a tryout. I am basically going to keep working as hard as I can, try to get booked as many different places as I can, and just keep showing people what I can do and try and get the attention of as many people as possible. And hopefully by doing so, I will catch the attention of the right people. But yeah, basically, I just want to keep working really hard and trying to get to as many different places as I can. And hopefully things work out the way I would like them to.
We're going to be rooting for you from here.
Thank you.
One Stop Wrestling, until you get that tryout, until you get signed, and then we're going to harass Doudrop on Twitter every single day and tell her, go to NXT UK to fight her.
I feel like we need a hashtag here for this.
Definitely.
Have you ever came close to thinking about going to any of the WWE tryouts that they hold regularly in the UK?
Not yet. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, you cut me off all you want.
So, no, not yet. This has actually been my first year of professional wrestling. My debut anniversary was in August there, because my original debut happened right before COVID, like literally October 2019. The next show was scheduled and it got cancelled because of COVID. So during that time, I basically just trained constantly by myself, just running drills and look after myself, which meant that I've only been doing this for the last year professionally, traveling and everything. So going forward, that is definitely something that I would love to be able to do. And it's definitely something that if I got the opportunity to do, I would be running at full speed.
It'd be amazing to see. So this is a part of the interview which it's time for a little bit of fun, because we are going to allow fans watching to get to know you a little bit better and why you became a wrestling fan in the first place. So first question, what is the first time you remember sitting down and watching wrestling on TV?
I remember being about 7 years old in my mum's living room and seeing Triple H on the TV, like a very young Triple H. And I had no idea who he was. My dad had just put it on the telly and I was just instantly just like, what is this? I love this. What is this? I remember after that, it's bits and pieces, but I remember after that, the first time I remember seeing China as well. I was just sitting on the couch and she came out, and it wasn't our original, because we were watching like on a Saturday morning when it was replaying. So it wasn't her coming in with the choke out, like out of nowhere. It was like an actual match where she came out and I saw her. And I was just like, oh my God, who is that? Who is that? And my brother's going on and on. He's like, oh, it's a girl, it's a girl. And I'm like, yeah, it's a girl. Look what she's doing. And then proceeded to immediately start battering my brother. But yeah.
That legitimately seems fair, so it does. So what was the first wrestling show you actually attended in person?
So the first wrestling show I attended in person was actually as an adult. And it was the very first Fierce Female show in Glasgow. A friend invited me along, and by that point I had actually fallen out of wrestling. I kind of, as I mentioned, I was fighting with my brother. That kind of happened a lot, and I kind of got banned from watching it as a child, like completely and utterly, games taken away the lot. Kind of put my brother through a telly. But yeah, so I then found out that I had friends that liked wrestling, and they were like, why don't you come along to a show, see if you still like it, give it a shot. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I liked it when I was younger.
So
And I went along, and it was amazing because it was an all-female show. So it was just this show of absolute badass women kicking the living shit out of each other for like well over an hour. I was just like, this is fantastic. This is brilliant. I want to do this again.
So let me get this right. You put your brother through a television.
Yes. So for context, he ran at me and I kind of just grabbed him, hooked him, and suplexed back the way. Do not recommend. Was a child. Don't do this to people. But yeah, we were really bad for like playing wrestling in the living room and constantly like launching each other about. My mother had just got this new telly, had just put it in, and my brother picked that day to pick a fight, and I did that and was immediately grounded for several months.
Oh,
wow.
Yep.
That's maybe
It
one
was
of
the
my
90s as well, so it was like one of those big tellies, like, you know, the really heavy ones. Yeah.
Yep. I think the worst thing I ever used to do was I used to tombstone my brother, but I'd go and get a bin bag. You know what, the big black liner bags?
Yeah.
And I would try and put them in the liner bags until like my mum caught me. She's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, Undertaker does it.
Yeah, that was always my thing, because I remember at one point my mum did have a sledgehammer in the back garden. And I didn't even get close to it though. I literally went to go for it, and as the hand went out, she just whipped round. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, what? Triple H does it? And she's like, no, not a toy. No, you're not. No. And then immediately went and hid it. I was like, okay.
No, that is amazing.
When I was little, I had like the spinner belt, the John Cena spinner belt.
Yeah.
I used to scratch it on the ceiling of the room and jump from a ladder to try to grab it, you know, just to like.
Yeah.
And I broke like 2 beds like that, and I was grounded. One time, WWE came to El Salvador and didn't let me go to the show because I broke the bed.
Yeah. That was the thing. Like, my mum was like, not happening.
Yeah.
I'd ground you too, Alfonso, to be fair. But
yeah, I would have grounded me as well, to be fair.
Like I am never coming back to Scotland in case I run into you, because like I am scared.
Really?
I think Alfonso's scared.
Like I feel like you're going to grab me and just suplex me, just throw me out.
No, I've calmed down in my old age. I keep it inside the ring now.
Okay. But the thing is that Craig is a basic bitch, so maybe you I have one.
Oh, we'll see if we can arrange it.
I'm still fighting for my raise against Craig, so
no,
I'm still trying to get
pay you
on my side. I'll really fight against Craig to get a raise.
He's never getting
We'll see what we can arrange.
Right. So, all-time favorite wrestling theme song.
Stone Cold.
Yes.
Every time I hear the smash glass, I instant like chills. Every time.
Have you?
I know why. Because when she suplexed his brother, he broke the glass.
It's PTSD. Yeah,
exactly.
Have you ever seen the famous interview clip with Kevin Owens, which is my favorite thing I've ever seen in my life? When he was saying, like, when he was younger, he was playing with his wrestling figures. But when he played with his wrestling figures, he used to like to have the entrance music for the wrestlers to come to the ring.
Yeah.
But obviously, he wanted the smashed glass, so he said he got like a glass and just threw it against the wall. And he said that his dad came in and just beat the utter shit out of him. Yeah. And then in the next line, he says, "Now that's normal for a child to do. Like, it's a normal child thing. But to be fair, I kind of deserved it because I was 16 at the time." And it's just like the greatest thing ever. Like, Alex, Stone Cold, that glass breaking is one of the most iconic entrances that you'll ever hear.
Yeah, like the
professional wrestling.
second you hear it, you know exactly who's coming out. Like the second it hits.
So, final question. It's always like a kind of fun question I like to ask. Your all-time Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling.
Oh. Okay, so this is probably going to be massively influenced by the fact that I'm a huge Attitude baby. Like, Attitude Era was my jam. So for me, The Undertaker has to be on there. Oh, this is always a big one because I always change my mind about who I want to put on it. So The Undertaker's on there. I feel like Hulk Hogan has to be on there. Like, I feel like professional wrestling now wouldn't be what it is now without lots of people, because also Ric Flair. But like, I feel like you can't miss those two off of it. And then I'm always like swithering over who I want to put in the fourth spot, because like that's the one I'm constantly changing my mind about. But I think for me personally, I'd have to put Chyna on there, just because I feel like she was such a pioneer for women in wrestling that she can't be ignored. So yeah, that's my four.
So Undertaker.
Yes. Yes.
Hogan and Chyna.
Yes. Yes.
Where's the Stone Cold?
I love Stone Cold, but I feel like if you're doing the Mount Rushmore, those are my four. I feel like those are the four that have influenced me and also wrestling in a way that would put them on there.
Okay, fair.
Ruby, it's been so much fun having you on.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome to come back anytime, as long as you promise not to suplex this through any sort of television. Before you go, how can people find you on social media? What's your tags? Where are you on?
Okie doke. So Instagram and Twitter, I am Ruby Roberts BBS. I am just Ruby Roberts on Facebook, and I am Ruby Roberts 0 on TikTok.
And there you go. And as always, everybody who has joined us, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, you check us out on Patreon. We've got like a huge announcement coming for that. Issue 2 of the One Stop Wrestling magazine is on sale of last week. Alfonso done a great article on John Moxley. So all John Moxley fans, go grab your copy just now. And we will catch you next time. Thanks, Ruby. Take care.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye.